Hello, dear folks. Welcome to the show. Jack Shaw once again on East West with G&E TV. There's a big news coming. Our President Barack Obama is going to meet with Chinese president all the way from Beijing for his first official visit as the president of China to the United States. Right? It's a big thing. It's a big event. I said to my friends the following. I said, as a Chinese American, I would hate nothing worse than if there's anything going wrong with the US-China relationship. Not only do I mean it by my personal perspective, it is also to the benefit of both countries, right? So today, joining me in the first segment of our regular show, talking about energy, we want to just discuss a little bit about the China and the US and China relationship, right? So with me today is my good friend and the icon person, kind of person in my eye. He is a energy specialist, right? He's an international affairs specialist. All right. Oh yeah, you're a former Navy officer, right?
I was in the U.S. Navy, yes.
Yeah, former U.S. Navy officer,
Yeah.
And he is also the senior consultant for many international programs, including a U.S.-China nuclear energy program. So, Mr. Drexel Smith, welcome to the show.
Good to be with you.
Drexel Smith is a big name, isn't it? All right, very good. So, I remember last time was about the celebration of the 70th anniversary of winning World War II. We mentioned about the U.S.-China relationship, right? So once again, would like to make it clear to our audiences that exactly how you take on this subject, please.
Well, Jack, in many of your shows that you've invited me to be a participant at, I've been very clear that I think having a very strong, good, productive relationship between China and the U.S. is very important. And I think we see examples continuously of how important that relationship is. We talked on your last show just recently about how the economies of the two countries tie. If someone has a cough, the other one gets a cold. It's important that we stay together. But more importantly than that,
you go see a doctor. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a vivid description.
You call me an expert on many things, but a doctor I'm not. But I do believe strongly that the world is so interconnected.
All right.
That it's important that friends be friends. And I think it's equally important to recognize that there are some areas of the world that are very unstable. It's more important than less that China and the U.S. be friendly to each other.
Yeah, join hands.
And be partners.
Yeah, be partners.
My influence in Washington today is not big, but if I could make a recommendation, I would feel very strongly that working toward the best relationship possible is to the long-term benefit of both countries.
All right, okay. That's a very strong and a very healthy statement. Just how strong do you see of the U.S.-China relationship that can function in taking care of worldwide problems, such as the Korean nuclear problem, such as the Middle East problems, and such as, of course, and later we will move that to the economical side, right? So, with the major problem, you heard about the last night about what happens in Korea.
Well, the North Korean government apparently, according to the news this morning, made an announcement that they're going to reactivate their nuclear development facilities, and it's their intention to put a nuclear weapon in the United States. This is very disconcerting. Whether there's substance to the matter or not, this type of statement is very unnerving. And I would think that this could be an area where the U.S. and China could be better partners and ask China to provide their influence on this regime to behave a little more
to intervene
toward the betterment
move.
of the world, as opposed to continuing to make these kinds of very provocative statements. North Korea is claiming that they now have ballistic missile capability, that should they have a weapon, they can deliver the weapon, which makes all of Asia and the west coast of the United States very disconcerting and vulnerable. So I would think that this could be an easy, obvious, let's get together and work together toward mitigating that problem.
Exactly. The funny part is that exactly that happens at the in the eve when these two big heads meet with each other, right? Do you think that should be one of the major subjects that when they meet, they will exchange their ideas?
Well, there again, I'm not in. They haven't asked my opinion.
Okay, well, they didn't ask me either.
But if I could be a bird on the shoulder, I would whisper, developing a good relationship, developing one of trust, one of honest, open communications. Do we have differences of opinion on topics? Yes, we do. But I think we have more that we see together than apart. And we should focus on those things that we can do well together, and not only focus on pieces that we have disagreements on. That's the building of a good relationship,
You're right,
regardless.
You're right. And in my philosophy, I believe that the reason or fact you call them two countries because there are differences. Otherwise, they will be one country, right? So it is always a major concern or a common concern to let difference remain the way it is, right? Until later, there could be some force to overcome it. And now, what you want to do is to focus on the major issues. There is so much at stake that both countries feels the danger, the necessity, to move forward. Am I right?
Yes, fundamentally, I think you and I agree on that matter. And as China has emerged in the last 100 years from being a relatively closed society to a player on the world stage, they're a major economy, they're 1.5 billion people. It's irresponsible not to recognize China as just simply a major world power. And I think there are areas of our planet to where the fires are burning hot. My goodness, look at what's happening in Syria. We have a group of people that very barbarically, in my opinion, are destroying cultural items that are thousands of years old.
Destroy civilization, in other words.
And you know, in many respects, the historical religious landmarks that are thousands of years old deserve some world recognition and protection.
You're right.
Look at what's happening in many areas of Africa in their instabilities. So I argue that there is enough problems in the world where we could look together for solutions and not continue to focus on those matters where we have a difference of opinion.
Right. In other words, there is a more problem that these two countries, being the two major powers, can join their hands together in finding a solution rather than trying to dig into who's number one, who's number two. Let's do a competition. Let's do this. Let's do that. Rather than
Exactly.
that could be.
Yeah, I
the
think we
wrong
need to
take.
leave the competition to the Olympic sports.
Yeah, right. Sure.
You know.
Sure. And even the Olympic Games, you're talking about friendship first, right?
Oh, I think so.
You compete for the purpose of friendship. You're not competing for the purpose of defeating.
That's right.
That's not right, right? Okay. Now, speaking of that, though, there's one saying, especially in this country, when you talk about those ego type of politicians, they say, quote unquote, the rise of China poses kind of a danger to the United States, to the national security whatsoever. What's your take on that? Is that true or false?
It's true that many people have a very strong opinion that the rise of China, the building of their military is very concerning. Of course, that's true. Anytime you see another nation with a strong military power, there's concern about will they be a friend or will they be a foe?
All right.
So I think those concerns are legitimate, but like any other relationship, you need to work on where we can be together, not apart.
In other words, by following your philosophy, the rise of China only makes its position stronger to make friends. Am I right?
Well, it's my point of view. I'm not sure it's shared by everybody. Military people are in the business to prepare for a fight and not for peace. That's not their job. Again, I'm not an expert in military-oriented issues and don't want to go down that path because I'm really not an expert. I'm just a student of the world. And
all right. That's a good term.
my view is that I think unless there's reason to believe that we can't be friends, which I would find very disturbing. I find no reason that we can't be good friends.
At all. Especially when you mentioned that one gets cold, the other coughs.
That's exactly.
One sneezes, the other sees a doctor.
Exactly. We're
right?
tied
like
economically.
Kind of tied, though. There's no way you can conflict.
And
right?
my goodness, Jack, we were very good friends helping each other to a common adversary 70 years ago. There's no reason that we can't continue to be friends today.
Sure.
Let's get on with the post of friendship.
All right. Even
That's my view.
Even militarily, during the celebration of the 70th anniversary, there's lots of talk, huge talk about flying tigers.
Of course.
Right? So, which people remember.
So,
that's a token of friendship. All right, my dear audience, today with my good friend, Drexel Smith, a man of huge credit, and he himself was a former U.S. Navy officer, and he is now in the energy field, very active. We're using the first segment to share our views, share his views with my audience. It's about his take of U.S.-China relationship. As conclusion, he says he found no reason they do not make friends, right? Okay, now, all right. Okay, let's take a short moment now. When we come back, we'll continue to find out with our issue today of the SB 350, which is the bill that confuses everybody. Stay with us, please.